What's up my loves, my name is Paige, this is Paige with Paige, and today we're going to be doing 7 on Sunday. Sunday is a Goodreads group created by Grace from G Swizzle, and I'll leave a link to both Grace's channel and the Goodreads group in the description box below. So this week's topic are our 7 favourite books of this year so far, and I love my little pile. I'm thrilled. It was hard picking between them, and some of these I had tossed up between doing a 4.5 and then have decided actually no, these are higher than some things that I gave 5 stars, and so I've given them 5 stars and they're absolutely favourites of this year. So we're going to go in the order that I read them, so beginning of the year through to my most recent, and I can't wait to scream about these a little bit more. My first is the only non-fiction that I want to put on this list. I have read a lot of really good non-fiction this year. Special mention to An Unquiet Mind, which I read with Charr from Thoroughly Enjoyed Books for Books About Bipolar. But for me, I think Australia Day by Stan Grant just hit in a little different way, because this is my country. Like, this is something that I needed desperately to be able to reference, to think on, to just annotate and develop ideas, to listen to voices that need to be heard, and Stan Grant's writing is amazing. I read Talking to My Country and absolutely loved it last year, picked up this one, and holy dooly, the way that he writes is so articulate, and the concepts that he discusses, it's never like pushing an agenda. It's saying, here are the facts, this is how these people feel, this is how this people feel, this is how I feel as a person of this group. And yeah, this is Stan's ruminations on Australia Day, and what does this mean for our country? What does Australia Day mean for Australians? A lot of Aboriginals are pushing to change the date because it's celebrated on the day that Captain Cook arrived in Australia and essentially started a mass genocide of our Indigenous people, and claimed that there was no one living here. They were considered flora and fauna, and it's just distasteful having the national celebration be on a day that is the beginning of a lot of shit. Stan's not arguing one way or another. It's more a discussion piece on how do we move forward as a country. What can we learn from what's happened? How can we learn from the people that are like, no, we want to move this day, to step forward and be like, we are working as a country, as a nation that is accepting of our history and our errors, and making sure that systemic racism is being changed. And I think Stan provides a lot of reflective questions and a really interesting discussion on Australia Day. So fantastic. I would recommend this to every Australian, and if you're not Australian but still interested in our history, I really feel that Stan writes in a way that would be accessible to people that don't also know Australia that well. And I read this back in January. In February, read You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. I adored this. I listened to the audiobook whilst reading along, and that definitely enhanced my experience because the voices were done in the way that it needs to be heard. I wouldn't have been able to speak like this. That's not part of me. But I could tell, even just reading it, that this was not the way that I speak, and listening to it was so amazing because you're there with the people and it feels like you're just interacting with everyone. Watching Liz come to terms with what she needs to do. This is focusing around Liz Leidy, who is trying to get into an elite college, and her financial scholarship falls through. So she needs to find out another way to be able to raise the money to be able to attend, and one of that way is through winning prom king or queen. So she decides to enter, and it's just amazing. There is a sapphic relationship at the forefront, and it's marvellous. So yeah, I highly recommend this. I absolutely adore it, and I'm so thankful to Cara for gifting me a hardcover copy of this amazing book. In March, I read Pet by Akwaeke Emezi, and this was a beautiful narrative. This is following Jem, a transgendered black protagonist who is living in this place where there are no such thing as monsters anymore. They've all been eradicated. and have grown up knowing that there are no such thing as monsters. But Jam meets this creature who gets introduced as Pet, and it's following these two as they sort of hunt down evil. And the back says, how do you save the world from monsters if no one will admit they exist? So it's sort of like they've forgotten that these things are still prevalent, and Jam has to go through a discovery of identifying that just because people say that monsters have disappeared doesn't mean that they have. They can be lurking in dark corners, and we need to seek them out. So the character of Pet is here to hunt out those monsters, but it's very challenging because everyone's like, well, no, they've been done and dusted, no need to worry. We don't have any information on them anymore because how do you know what they look like? And it was really, really fascinating. I think the language in this was wonderful. I think I also listened to the audiobook of this as well, and that, or I heard it really clearly in my head. I love Akwaeke Emezi's writing, and I need to pick up more. I definitely want to read The Death of Vivek Oji. This is a fantastic read. A lot of the time it's sort of in the in-between stage. So I read this for an assignment on LGBT literature for students aged 8 to 10 years old, and I would say that this is definitely 12 plus. It does get categorized in sort of that middle grade area that's a little bit younger, but I definitely think it's a little bit older. Not that kids younger couldn't understand it, it's just the way that it's written feels like that little bit older, more high school era rather than your middle grade. So yeah, definitely would highly recommend. If you think that your kids can handle the topic matter, like, go for it. I think it's fantastic look and deconstruction on gender, race, sexuality, identity, all of those major components. I think it would be great to unpack with kids and teens, but definitely just know your audience going into this, and I would more lean towards upper rather than lower. In April I read two favorites, and the first was Get a Life Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert, and like, I have read favorites in other, more than one favorite in those months, but not as much as these. I adored Get a Life Chloe Brown. The representation, fantastic. I'll leave a link to Antonisha Lashane, who also has the same chronic illness as Chloe, and yeah, there were, there's a particular scene in here which someone referenced on Twitter, and I was like, is it this? And they were like, yeah, and it's the mix of beautiful plot, amazing characters, steamy scenes, and just care and adoration that goes into this book fills me with joy. I'm absolutely inarticulate with it. Essentially what happens is Chloe lives her life on the safe side. She is chronically ill, bit of a computer geek, and then she almost, well, she has a near-death experience and figures that her life's kind of boring, so she decides to get a life. She makes a list, and then she meets the superintendent that she's always not got along with, and realizes that he will be able to help her out most. So they go on adventures, and I really wanted to go camping after this as well. If you know, you know. But definitely one of my favorites. Like all of these books, I just have a massive smile on my face because I think they're so amazing, and this was no exception. Also, we read The Galaxy and the Ground Within by Becky Chambers. Becky Chambers for me can do no wrong. I adore these characters. I was absolutely stolen-hearted by Speaker. Just their personality, the way that they look at things, the way that they articulated themselves was just amazing. My friend gifted me the paperback edition so I could read it ASAP because we were waiting for the hardcover to come out, and then Ash gifted me this because I needed these end papers in my life. Like, holy damn. Ulu was also another beautiful, beautiful character, and just exploring humanity from different species, how to be a kind person, how to do the right thing, how to deal with people from conflicting personalities so don't feel like they've done anything wrong. There was amazing, amazing points for that, and it just, I know not everyone's loved this as much as the other ones, and I totally respect that, but for me, I think this whole series is just a favorite because I go in just wanting to fall in love with the characters, and it's not It's their journey to work as a group rather than the actual plot that's going on, because I don't really care. I just want to be in this world with these characters and just love them to bits. The only one this is the first time that I've had a character that I specifically didn't like, and I think that a good thing. I shook it up a little bit, that I wasn't constantly rooting for everyone to be that happy sort of go lucky. I liked that there was tension, because this character was a bit of a dickhead because you're gonna have dickheads, but it was nice seeing them as a main character this time rather than being some side characters. I don't think I've ever disliked a character as much as this one, but it didn't take away from it. If anything, it added to the story, because I was like, yes, like we're in the perspective of someone that I don't like. This is excellent, because now I can empathize and sympathize with them, which is the whole point of this goddamn series and books, and I love them so much. Next up, I don't have a copy with me because I've already lent it to my mum, and that is Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. This is a family, how do I describe it? A generational story of Korean immigrants to Japan, and it's following the different characters throughout their life. We start with a disabled man who falls in love and has a daughter, and then he's like obsessed with her because she's just so perfect, and it's marvelous. And then we're following her continuations, and it just did so many things so well. Essentially, we're looking at the treatment of Koreans in Japan and the wider world, their perspective of it during the Korean War. I realized just how ignorant I am to a whole lot of things, and I really enjoyed that it took it in a way that was clear and articulate without being like, you're a dumb fuck if you don't know this. It was just like, here, let's explore this family, and we're going to introduce these concepts, and we're going to show these things, and we're going to do it this way. And it was just very well executed, and I really enjoyed the whole experience. I didn't think it was going to be something that was going to sit with me as much as it did. Originally, I did give it a 4.5 star, and I read it the same month as I read Aquawar, and I gave Aquawar 5 stars, and I was like, hold on, wait a second, like, I keep thinking about this, I keep coming back to it. This has a lot more depth, a lot more meaning to it, and I keep thinking on it, and I'm so thrilled that I read it, and it's definitely become a new favorite. But again, it was one that I had to give some time away to be able to fully appreciate the journey that this story was. I really enjoyed all the aspects of it and learning new things, and I think it was just amazingly done, and everyone should pick it up. So the last book on my list is one that you will have not seen my wrap up. So I've got this video going up, and then Wednesday we have Twisted Tuesdays, and then Friday will be my wrap up. And I need it because I need to scream into the void about Malice. I've already I've given it to one person. I've convinced a friend in real life to pick it up, and they're, well, my friend in real life is absolutely enjoying it. She was about halfway last time we spoke about it, and she was messaging me just dying. I don't know where Antonisha Lachey has continued on or not, but I am convincing every Tom, Dick and Harry to put this in their goddamn hands because it is amazing. I know not everyone's gonna like it, but holy shit, I fucking loved it. There's something about, we knew the second it came onto my radar as sapphic villains, like a sapphic villain origin story, I was, yeah. And then it just was so good. It reads quite YA new adulty, but I adored it. And this is following Alice, who is a hybrid creature, and in the world of Briar, she is considered an outcast, no one really likes, and there are the flip sides, which are the Graces, and they're beautiful and magical, and they make the world all like marvelous, very Belle's sort of style on that front. The royal family are cursed that the girls will die on their 16th birthday if they haven't had true love's kiss, and the way that that was played on, amazing. And then the continuation, this ending, I need the second book like now, and it just fills me with happiness. It hits home in 1,000 different ways. I need everyone to just get on board with this and read this with me so I can scream about it, because I don't want to spoil anything. We know the story of Sleeping Beauty. It does have this with a twist, but good lord, this is amazing. There are elements that are nowhere near the original, and it's just like, my sapphic little heart can't deal. So I need everyone to pick this up. I will be gushing about it for ever and a day. Poor Ash is probably very sick of it because I was sitting on the couch reading this and I would actually squeal when things happened. But yeah, we love this. There were scenes and it was glorious. And just please, if you take anything away, go pick this up. Alrighty, so these are 6 out of the 7 books that are my favorites of this year. I think there's been quite an interesting mix and I'm really happy. Also a lot of gay, which I'm not mad about. I feel like I need to step up my non-fiction game because I find that there is so much good non-fiction out there and I just don't go to it because it scares me. But yeah, I am so thrilled that this is my little list and I love every single book on here, and if you haven't read them, please go do it because it will be worth your time. Let me know in the comments one of your favourite books that you've read this year so far. How is your reading going this year? In July we will have all of my mid-year stats and things like that. I wait until the end of the mid-year so then I actually have accurate stats, and then continue on from there. So mid-year freakout tag, halfway check-in, all of that good stuff, that good fun stuff is coming up soon. So yeah, let me know favourites and how's your reading going. And yeah, if you like this video, feel free to give it a big thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more of this mess, feel free to subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you on my next video. Bye!